Good morning. Today we're going to read through Chapter 3 of Part 2 of A Study in Scarlet, which is a Sherlock Holmes story. But we're not just going to be reading the words, we're going to be stopping and talking about interesting vocabulary words as we go. So if you're watching this live with me, you can ask questions. What does this mean? Explain this. Explain that. That's the whole point of doing this video. So if you're watching this live, I encourage you to ask questions and make comments as we go. I'll be reading them as long as I see them. And when the chapter finishes, the video does not finish. We bring in people, volunteers from Discord, and we practice pronunciation, accentuation, and ways to improve your accent so that you sound more natural as you speak. So if you're an advanced learner of English and you want to improve your accent, don't leave when the chapter is finished, because that is when the fun begins. If you want to volunteer, there is a link to the Discord server. As usual, the first two volunteers who volunteer are on Discord after the video starts are the people who we choose for practice. Let's see. So far, no volunteers. Oh yes, we've got Pt2. Pt2 has volunteered, so we've got Pt2, and we can have one more volunteer. Let's see how that goes. All right, so let's get started with Chapter 3. John Ferrier's Talk with the Prophet. A prophet is someone who communicates with God or gets messages from God and is sort of a messenger for God. So John Ferrier is going to talk to one of these prophets of the Mormons, I guess. Let's see. 3 weeks had passed since Jefferson Hope and his comrades had departed from Salt Lake City. John Ferrier's heart was sore within him when he thought of the young man's return and of the impending loss of his adopted child. Yet her bright and happy face reconciled him to the arrangement more than any argument could have done. In the previous chapter, Jefferson Hope was a young man who was in love with John Ferrier's adopted daughter, who's become very beautiful now that she's grown up. And John Ferrier consented to allow Jefferson Hope to marry his daughter. But now that he's gone, he's a little worried, thinking, I can't let her marry him because I will miss her. But even so, even though he doesn't want to do that, it says here that her face, how happy she was, thinking of her fiancé, convinced him to let her go through with it. He had always determined deep down in his resolute heart, and nothing would ever induce him to allow his daughter to wed a Mormon. So he became a Mormon simply because they rescued him. They said, well, we will take you with us, we'll feed you, but you have to convert to our religion. And one thing about the Mormons at the time, even now, but I think it's more rare now, they have several wives. So I think he didn't like the idea that she would marry a Mormon and maybe he would get more wives, and she would not be the only wife. Such a marriage he regarded as no marriage at all, but as a shame and a disgrace. Whatever he might think of the Mormon doctrines, upon that one point he was inflexible. He had to seal his mouth on the subject, however, for to express an unorthodox opinion was a dangerous matter in those days in the land of the saints. Yes, a dangerous matter, so dangerous that even the most saintly dared only whisper their religious opinions with bated breath. Bated means like hesitant or held back. Well, I better check that definition. I'm not so good with that. Let's see. Bated breath. Held back or reduced. So to speak with bated breath would be to speak lowly with no breath or very little breath. Low, quiet. Yes, a dangerous matter, so dangerous that even the most saintly dared only whisper their religious opinions with bated breath, lest something fell from their lips might be misconstrued. Now that's an interesting word. I think I'm going to add that to the list for today. To misconstrue something means to misunderstand something. We've talked about that word lest before, which is a signal that you're going to say something you're afraid will happen. So people whispered in bated breath because they were afraid that something that they said might be misunderstood. So they were very careful about that. They were very careful. They were afraid of being misconstrued, misunderstood, and bring down a swift retribution upon them. A retribution is like a punishment. The victims of persecution had now turned persecutors on their own account, and persecutors of the most terrible description, not the Inquisition of Seville, nor the German Femgericht, nor the secret societies of Italy were ever able to put a more formidable machinery in motion than that which cast a cloud over the state of Utah. Well, I'm not sure about what the German Femgericht is, nor we know about secret societies, but the Inquisition was a period in Spain where they were very paranoid about people not being Catholic for many different reasons. And they were very cruel to people who they suspected of not being faithful to the religion. Extremely cruel, famously cruel. So if they're worse than the Spanish Inquisition, they must be pretty bad. Its invisibility and the mystery which was attached to it made the organization doubly terrible. It appeared to be omniscient. So that word, that SCIEN word, that means like knowing, to know. And omni means everything. So to be omniscient means to know everything. You see that word, that SIEN word, in words like science. So science is about accumulating reliable knowledge. And conscientious. Conscientious means that you're doing something and you know that you're doing it. You understand you're doing it. You see yourself doing it. So that SCIEN word has something to do with knowledge. And omnipotent. What is omnipotent? So remember, omni is everything. That's a pretty common word, but I couldn't define it for you. Let's just see. All-powerful. Potens means power, and omni means all. So omniscient, all-knowing, and omnipotent, all-powerful. And yet was neither seen nor heard. The man who held out against the church vanished away. To hold out means to try and wait, to sit back and wait. So if you hold off or hold out on something, you're being stubborn and you're trying to sit off to the side and wait. So some people really weren't 100% believers, but they thought if maybe they could be quiet and try not to be noticed, then they're holdouts. They're not really embracing everything. So some people tried to do that, but nobody could escape. The man who held out against the church, so the man who tried to wait and hope that maybe things would get better or easier, vanished away. So those people disappeared. And none knew whether he had gone or what had befallen him. So these people mysteriously disappeared. But no father ever returned to tell them how he had fared at the hands of the secret judges. And that word fare comes from French, which means to make or do. So how he did at the hands of the secret judges. What happened when he went to the secret judges? Nobody knows what happened. A rash word or a hasty act was followed by annihilation, and yet none knew what the nature might be of this terrible power which was suspended over them. No wonder that men went about in fear and trembling. Trembling is shaking. And even in the heart of the wilderness, they dared not whisper the doubts which oppressed them. At first, this vague and terrible power was exercised only upon recalcitrants. Well, there's a fancy word, recalcitrant. I've seen that word before, but I've never really used it. Let's get a definition on that. Stubbornly disobedient or resistant to authority. Hard to manage or control. Let's start over. At first, this vague and terrible power was exercised only upon the recalcitrants. So this mysterious panel of judges, they only used them for people who were very resistant at first. It says at first. I think that's important to notice. Recalcitrants who, having embraced the Mormon faith, wished afterwards to pervert or abandon it. When you pervert something, you corrupt something. Let's read that again. At first, the vague and terrible power. So this mysterious power that they had. Vague means like unclear. So this vague and terrible power was exercised only upon the recalcitrants. So they only focused on people who seemed resistant to the religion or somehow going against the religion. Having embraced the Mormon faith, wished afterwards to pervert or abandon it. So there were some people who joined the religion, but later they changed their minds and became recalcitrant, resistant to it, and these people were in trouble. Soon, however, it took a wider range. The supply of adult women was running short, and polygamy, that polygamy means having more than one wife. Polygamy without a female population on which to draw was a barren doctrine indeed. Remember, barren means nothing grows. So this idea of polygamy, having several wives, was becoming a problem because there weren't enough women. And that's why they're calling it a barren doctrine, a barren belief, a belief that will cause nothing to grow. Strange rumors began to be bandied about. Bandy about, that might be a funny word to do today. I know we haven't done that before. Let's define it. To me, bandy about means like to show everybody, but let's see. Bandy about. To casually mention or pass around ideas, names, or rumors. Her name was bandied about as a possible candidate. To discuss lightly or without much thought, they bandied about theories without any evidence. So maybe being very, very casual about something that is serious and spreading rumors is something like that. Let's see how that fits into the sentence. Strange rumors began to be bandied about. So people were whispering possibly serious things that could cause danger, but they were doing it in a very nonchalant, a word we've had before, dangerous way or casual way. Rumors of murdered immigrants and rifle camps in regions where Indians had never been seen. Fresh women appeared in the harems of the elders, women who pined and wept. So remember, we talked about pine away or pine about or something like that yesterday. And pining for something is wanting something with all of your heart. So it seems like some of these women were kind of maybe like prisoners, maybe pining for freedom or pining for their family, but they were kept in harems. A harem is like a group of women for one man. Women who pined and wept and bore upon their faces the traces of an unextinguishable horror. Do you know this word? I want to show a picture here. All right, do you know what this object is called? This is a fire extinguisher. So we know the purpose of it is to stop a fire. So to extinguish something means to make something stop or make something disappear, make something be reduced to nothing. That's a fire extinguisher. So if we have inextinguishable, you have extinguish, which means to stop something, and then you have able, which means can stop. Extinguishable means you can stop it. If it's inextinguishable, that means you cannot stop it. It does not stop. There's no way to make it stop. Pachu says CO2 is filled in that. Really? Is that CO2? Because it's like a white powder. At least in the US, it's like some strange white powder, but I don't know. I don't know what that material is. Let's read that again. So women who pined and wept and bore upon their faces the traces of an unextinguishable horror. So a horror that you cannot stop. You cannot make it go away. Belated wanderers upon the mountains spoke of gangs of armed men, masked, stealthy. Stealthy means hidden or can't see. So these wanderers or these gangs of armed men means they have guns, and masked You can't see their faces. And stealthy. It's very difficult to detect them or see them. You don't hear them. You don't see them. And noiseless, who flitted by them in the darkness. These tales and rumors took substance and shape and were corroborated and re-corroborated until they resolved themselves in a definite name. So to corroborate something means to... How do you explain that? It means that it means confirmed. Like there were other people who saw it. It wasn't just one person who said it happened to them. It happened to many people. So these stories were corroborated. It means that other people confirmed one story. But let's just take a look at a better definition than mine. Corroborate. To confirm or support something with additional evidence. So if a story is corroborated, that means it just wasn't one person who saw this. Several people said, yes, he's right. I saw it too. It happened to me too. You know, if one person says it happened, maybe they're lying. But if a group of people say it happened, if the story is corroborated, then it seems more likely that it's true, even if there's no evidence. So these tales and rumors took substance and shape and were corroborated. Witnesses said, yes, that's true. I saw it too, and re-corroborated. So again, even more people saw it, until they resolved themselves into a definite name. And to this day, in the lonely ranches of the West, the name of the Danite band, or the Avenging Angels, is a sinister and ill-omened one. Fuller knowledge of the organization which produced such terrible results served to increase rather than to lessen the horror which it inspired in the minds of men. None knew who belonged to this ruthless society. Ruthless means having no mercy, having no feeling for your victims. So this society was ruthless. They had a purpose, and they didn't care if they hurt people. They did anything to accomplish their purpose. They were ruthless. The names of the participators in the deeds of blood and violence done under the name of religion were kept profoundly secret. The very friend to whom you communicated your misgivings about the prophet and his mission might be one of those who would come forth at night with fire and a sword to exact a terrible reparation. I think misgivings is a good word. I'm going to put that on the list. I know we haven't done that one before. So having a misgiving means like maybe having a doubt about something. So perhaps when they joined the religion, they were very enthusiastic. But as they lived the religion, maybe some doubts developed in their heads. Maybe some misgivings developed in their heads, and they thought, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. But let's define misgivings in a better way. Let's see, misgivings. Feelings of doubt, worry, or fear. So hesitating about something because maybe you doubt, or you worry, or you fear about the consequences. In this case, they're talking about religion. So if you have a misgiving about religion, you're having some doubts, like, oh, maybe I'm not sure about this anymore. Let's read that sentence again. It's a little bit complicated. So the very friend to whom you communicated your misgivings as to the prophet and his mission might be one of those who would come forth at night. They're saying, so that friend who you shared doubts with about the religion or the mission of the religion, if that person might be one of these, part of this secret group who would later come at night and do who knows what to you. Hence every man feared his neighbor, and none spoke of things which were nearest his heart. One fine morning, John Ferrier was about to set out to his wheat fields. Set out is a phrasal verb which means to start a journey or start a project, start the beginning of something big. So if John Ferrier was setting out to his wheat fields, he was going there, and we understand from set out that he was going there with a purpose. And that purpose, of course, was to work very hard in the field all day. Sometimes you talk about setting out for a trip. And when you say setting out for a trip, instead of going on a trip, I understand it's going to be quite a big trip or a long trip. Something more involved than just leaving. He went on a trip. Okay, that sounds pretty nice. He set out for a trip. This sounds like a big trip. There are going to be a lot of things happening, a lot of activities, maybe a long period of time. One fine morning, John Ferrier was about to set out to his wheat fields, when he heard the click of the latch. Click. Do I have something with a click? Here's a click. That's a click. That sound. It's a pretty common word, though, of course, because you use that for your mouse if you use a desktop. And a latch, we've seen that in many different stories, the word latch, but I'll just show you again to remind you what a latch is. Here are different types of latches. So it's sort of a lock, a way to lock your door or to keep something closed. These are all different types of latches. So he heard the click of the latch, maybe of the gate to his house. And looking through the window, saw a stout. Stout means like very, maybe a little bit fat, kind of strong. A stout, handy, sandy-haired, middle-aged man coming up the pathway. His heart leapt to his mouth. When your heart leaps, it means because you've become very excited. Leap means jump. So his heart jumped. He became excited. And it could be either negative or positive, depending on the situation. When I heard that beautiful music, my heart leapt. My heart jumped. So it could be positive, but it can also be negative. It could be because you're very scared. When he heard the latch, his heart jumped. He got very scared. He became very frightened. His heart leapt to his mouth, for this was none other than the great Brigham Young himself. Now, I don't know too much about Mormons, but I do know that Brigham Young was a real person, and if you go to Salt Lake City in Utah, you'll see many things named after Brigham Young. So this really is a person in a very respected or high person in the Mormon religion, but I have no information about him besides that. Full of trepidation. Apache is asking about the word trepidation. Let's define that word, trepidation. It's a word that you hear from time to time. I don't think I've ever really used it myself, A feeling of fear or anxiety, trepidation, nervous hesitation. You'll hear it, but I think you mostly will hear this in a story. But I think people also use it in conversation. It's just not a word that I've used very much. Full of trepidation, so full of fear or hesitation because it's a big moment. This is a very important person, Brigham Young. For he knew that such a visit boded him little good. Ferrier ran to the door and greeted the Mormon chief. The latter, however, received his salutations coldly. So, to salute someone, really that word salut means health. But, when you say hello to someone, you usually will wish them good health or something like that. A salutation is a way of saying hello. So this is a salutation, this is a salute, but that word salute really means health. But in this context, it means saying hello to someone in some way. Hi, could be with words, could be with your hands, could be anything. It just means saying hello. So the latter, however, received his salutations coldly. So Ferrier says, "Hey, Brigham Young," and Brigham Young is very cold. He received the salutation with coldness, and followed him with a stern face into the sitting room. Stern means serious. "Brother Ferrier," he said, taking a seat and eyeing the farmer keenly. So to eye someone is to look at them with a lot of attention. It makes you feel uncomfortable when someone eyes you. "Brother Ferrier," he said, taking a seat and eyeing the farmer keenly from under his light-colored eyelashes, "the true believers have been good friends to you. We picked you up when you were starving in the desert. We shared our food." Should we look at a picture of Brigham Young since he was a real person? I don't know what he looks like. Let's see. I'm sure there are pictures of him or paintings. This is Brigham Young. So, of course, the story isn't real, but Brigham Young was a real person. See, here he is. Usually they just show the portrait, but here's a sort of religious painting of him, standing. I don't know what text that is, or... Oh, that's from a museum. That looks like a painting of him from the museum, but it has a sort of religious feeling to it. Pt2 says, "Is the story real?" No, definitely the story's not real. But Brigham Young was a real person. And probably the situation that they're describing is real. Probably after everybody arrived at their final destination, Salt Lake City, it's very likely that they became fanatic and tried to, here's a phrasal verb, weed out, meaning pick out the non-believers, or the people who weren't very strong about the religion. So, I mean, that situation is probably true. I don't know. I don't know too much about Mormons. But yes, Brigham Young was a real person. And that religion is a real religion. "Led you safe to the chosen valley, gave you a goodly share of land, and allowed you to wax rich under our protection. Is this not so?" "It is so," answered John Ferrier. "In return for all of this, we asked but one condition, and that was that you should embrace. Embrace means hug. You should embrace the true faith and conform in every way to its usages. This you promise to do, and this, if common report says truly, you have neglected. So Brigham Young is saying, we took care of you, we fed you, we saved your life, and we only asked you one thing, that you would embrace, hug our religion and follow all of its rules. But people tell me that you're not doing this. And how have I neglected it? Asked Ferrier, throwing down his hands in expostulation. Have I not given to the common fund? Have I not attended at the temple? Have I not... So he's saying, I don't know how true this is now, but in the past, it was expected that you were to give some of your money to the church. There weren't other taxes like there are now, but the church usually demanded, 10 or 15% of your money. And that's why he's saying, I've not given to the common fund. So everybody was expected to give 10 or 15% of what I don't know the percentage. Have I not attended the temple? Have I not... Where are your wives? Asked Young, looking round him. Call them in, that I may greet them. It's true. I have not married, Ferrier answered. But women were few, and there were many who had better claims than I. I was not a lonely man. I had my daughter to attend my wants. It is of that daughter that I would speak to you, said the leader of the Mormons. She has grown to be a flower of Utah, and has found favor in the eyes of many who are high in the land. John Ferrier groaned internally. Groaning is, something like that. So he didn't say it. He didn't dare to say that in front of Brigham Young, but internally, inside, he was saying, oh, oh no. There are stories of her which I would fain disbelieve, stories that she is sealed to some Gentile. So apparently, because they're calling, I think his name is Jefferson Hope, right? That's the boy who's going to marry his daughter. They're calling him a Gentile, which actually as far as I know, it's a word that Jewish people use to talk about non-Jewish people. That's the only time I've ever heard it used. So, but I think that they're borrowing that terminology, and they're saying he's someone not of our religion. So Jefferson Hope is not a Mormon. And Ferrier has promised to let Jefferson Hope marry his daughter, and this is forbidden. This must be the gossip of idle tongues. What is the 13th rule of the code of the sainted Joseph Smith? Let every maiden of the true faith marry one of the elect. So Joseph Smith, that's the founder of the Mormon religion. And apparently one of the rules is that girls must marry men inside of the religion. For if she wed a Gentile, so if she wed someone outside of the religion, if she got married to someone outside of the religion, she commits a grievous sin, a very bad sin. A sin is like a violation, a serious violation of the religion. This being so, it's impossible that you, who profess the Holy Creed, remember creed means belief, should suffer your daughter to violate it? So Brigham Young is saying, well, that's impossible. It must be a rumor that you've agreed to let your daughter marry someone outside of the religion, because as her father and as someone who follows our religion, you would never allow such a thing. So these must be rumors. John Ferrier made no answer, but he played nervously with his riding whip. Upon this point, your whole faith shall be tested. So it's been decided in the sacred council of four. The girl is young, and we would not have her wed gray hairs, neither would we deprive her of all choice. The elders, so they're saying that they've held a meeting about this. The elders, that means older people of the religion, usually older men, held a council, held a meeting about this, and they said, well, we're not going to force her to marry an old man. She can choose any man that she likes, but he must be inside the religion. Neither would we deprive her of all choice. We elders have many heifers. Okay. Heifer is a reference to a female cow. That's a heifer. And they're referring to this girl, they're referring to the women in the group as female cows. And I think sort of the implication is that a heifer has babies. And so they're talking about the women like their only role is to have babies. And it's kind of funny that there's a little footnote here with a little red square. I hope that we see the footnote at the bottom of the page. Let's see. But our children must also be provided. Strangerson has a son, and Drebber has a son, and either of them would gladly welcome your daughter to their house. Let her choose between them. They are young and rich, and are of the true faith. What say you to that? So Ferrier knows that his daughter is really in love with this man, Jefferson Hope. And even though he doesn't want to say goodbye to her, he's letting him marry this girl. But the problem is he's not a Mormon. And so the elders, the older people in the community have decided that she cannot marry him because he's not Mormon. And they've decided that one of two very important boys, or two boys from very important families, should marry her. And they're giving her a choice. But I don't think that Ferrier is going to like that. You will give us time, he said at last. My daughter is very young. She's scarce of an age to marry, so she's not really ready to marry yet. Give us a little time. We'll figure it out. Here's the footnote. In one of Heber C. Kimball, in one of his sermons, alludes to his 100 wives under this endearing epithet. This is sarcasm. They're saying that I don't know who Heber C. Kimball is, but apparently he had 100 wives, and he referred to them as heifers. And by calling them heifers, cows, female cows, he's really just saying their only purpose is to give babies, to make babies. So it's not endearing. It's not a nice thing to say. This is sarcasm. They're saying, how can he call his wives cows like that? She shall have a month to choose, said Young, rising from his seat. At the end of that time, she shall give her answer. He was passing through the door when he turned with flushed face and flashing eyes. It were better for you, John Ferrier, he thundered, that you and she were now lying blanched skeleton upon the Sierra Blanco, than that you should put your weak will against the orders of the Holy Four. Okay, blanche is the French word for white. And he's saying, if you don't do this, then it would have been better if we left you in the desert where all of your skin and everything would disappear, and the only thing left would be a very perfectly white, blanched skeleton, you and your daughter. So if you don't listen to us, something very bad will happen to you. With a threatening gesture of his hand, he turned from the door, and Farrier heard his heavy step scrunching along the shingly path. He was still sitting with his elbows upon his knees, considering how he should broach the matter to his daughter. To broach a subject means to bring a subject up, but I don't think that's a very good definition, so let's ask ChatGPT to help us. I would say it's like approach a subject, come to a subject, but let's see. To bring up a topic for discussion, especially that is one that's sensitive or awkward. So imagine this. This girl is very happy. She's going to marry this boy who she loves so much. But now John Farrier has to tell her, no, I'm sorry, you can't marry him. He's not a Mormon. And the elders have decided either you marry this boy or this other boy. And you have a month to decide who. And he's thinking this is going to be a very difficult thing to say to her. It's a difficult subject to broach. How can he tell her that? He was still sitting with his elbows upon his knees, considering how he should broach the matter to his daughter, when a soft hand was laid upon his, and looking up, he saw her standing beside him. One glance at her pale, frightened face showed him that she had heard what had passed. I could not help it, she said, in answer to his look. His voice rang through the house. Oh, Father, Father, what shall we do? Don't scare yourself, he answered, drawing her to him and passing his broad, rough hand caressingly over her chestnut hair. We'll fix it up somehow or another. You don't find your fancy kind of lessening for this chap, do you? So he's hoping that maybe she's not so much in love with him anymore. He's saying, you don't feel less about him, do you? Like hoping that maybe she'll say, well, maybe I can marry one of those other boys. No, of course not. I shouldn't care to hear you say you did. He's a likely lad, and he's a Christian, which is more than these folks here, in spite of all their praying and preaching. There's a party starting for Nevada tomorrow, and I'll manage to send him a message, letting him know the hole we are in. So he's saying there's a group of people heading down towards Nevada, and I can send him a message with this group, letting him know the problem, the situation we're in, the hole we're in. If I know anything of that young man, he'll be back here with a speed that would whip electrographs. Lucy laughed through her tears at her father's description. When he comes, he'll advise us for the best. But it is for you that I'm frightened, dear. One hears such dreadful stories about those who oppose the prophet. Something terrible always happens to them. But we haven't opposed him yet, her father answered. It will be time to look out for squalls when we do. I don't know what a squall is. Let's see. A sudden violent gust of wind, often with rain or snow. A squall hit the coast without warning. A loud, harsh cry. The baby squalled all night. I don't think that's a common word in contemporary English. I've never heard it. We have a clear month before us. At the end of that, I guess we had best shin out of Utah. Leave Utah? Shin out of, I don't know. I've never heard that before, but I don't think that it's something that you would want to use in contemporary English. And I think the idea is run away. Leave Utah? That's about the size of it. But the farm. We'll raise as much as we can in money and let the rest go. To tell the truth, Lucy, it isn't the first time I've had the thought of doing it. I don't care about knuckling under to any man, and these folk, due to their darned profit, as these folks do to their darned profit. I'm a free-born American, and it's all new to me. Guess I'm too old to learn. If he comes browsing about this farm, he might chance to run up against a charge of buckshot traveling in the opposite direction. So what he's saying is, I don't like living with these people. They're trying to control our lives too much. And I think that if he ever returns, I might have to shoot him. But they won't let us leave, his daughter objected. Wait till Jefferson comes, and we'll soon manage that. In the meantime, don't you fret yourself. To fret means to worry. Don't worry. My dearie, and don't get your eyes swelled up, else he'll be walking into me when he sees you. There's nothing to be afeared of about, and there's no danger at all. John Ferrier uttered these consoling remarks in a very confident tone, but she could not help observing that he paid unusual care to the fastening of the doors at night, and that he carefully cleaned and loaded the rusty old shotgun which hung upon the wall of his bedroom. So he's acting like he's not afraid, but now he makes sure that all the doors and windows are locked every night, and he's taking care of his old gun just in case he needs to fight. Well, that was the end of chapter. That was a pretty short chapter. That was the end of chapter 3 of part 2. So now what we'll do is, let's see, who do we have? We've got Pt2. If you want to practice improving your accent or your pronunciation, don't go away. We're going to take a few minutes break, and during that time, I'm going to make a few exercises to practice some of the interesting vocabulary words that we talked about in this chapter. We've got misconstrue, bandy about, misgivings, and broach a subject. And we'll be practicing those with Pt2 in a few minutes. But I have to arrange the definitions and the exercises and take a little break. So it should be about, 3 or 4 minutes. And then we'll be back and we'll practice those words. But the focus will be on accent improvement, on finding the rhythm of a sentence, on the correct pronunciation of words, and the correct pronunciation of phrases. So if that's something that you're interested in, then the fun is just beginning. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go away. All right, we're back. Thank you for waiting. Now we're going to bring in Pachu from Discord. And again, if you want to volunteer, all you have to do is join the Discord server and be one of the first 2 people to volunteer after the video starts. Now let's turn off the music. And we'll go to Discord. Let's see. Hello.
Sir,
How are you doing today, Pachu?
great, sir.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. I don't even have to comment anymore because you're consistently saying great now. So that's a
Yes,
good sign.
sir.
All right. Let's see. All right, Pachu, have you ever seen this word before? Misconstrue. Uh-oh, Pachu, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you seen that word before? Misconstrue.
Yeah, quite not misconstrue.
Yeah, it just means like misunderstand or misinterpret something. So we have to misunderstand or interpret something incorrectly. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. So you have choices. You can say, I misunderstood, which you know that
Yeah.
one, right? Misunderstanding.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we use it. Yeah.
Yeah. So an
Misunderstood.
alternative word is misconstrue. Misconstrue, like
Yeah.
interpret in a bad way, or understand in a bad way, not fully understanding or not receiving the message the way that it was intended. All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so I think in this word like construction.
You know
Yeah.
what? I had never thought about that, but I think you're probably right. Let's look. Like misconstruct. You're probably right. Misconstrue. Let's see. Miss wrongly and construere, which is a Latin word to build or arrange. Yes, it comes from construct. You're right. So misconstruct
Okay.
is really what it means.
Yeah, it is easy to remember. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing.
I didn't even notice that. So that's good that you notice these roots and and how they relate to the meaning of the word now. Okay. So here we have a sentence which is I misconstrued his tone. Can you say that?
I misconstrued his tone.
And what does that mean?
So I misunderstood his tone, his voice. I did not uh, recognize or uh, something.
Maybe he was being friendly, but you interpreted it as being angry, something like that. So by tone they mean did he say it in an angry way or a friendly way or a sympathetic way? So if you misconstrue someone's tone, they're doing one thing, they have one intention in their tone, and you understand a different intention. Does that make sense?
Okay, yes. Yeah, okay, yes.
What are the important words in that sentence, Pachu?
So the important words are the misconstrued
Mm-hmm.
and tone.
That's right. Now, misconstrued, how many syllables does that have?
The miss pause con second, trude third.
Okay,
Okay.
and what do you think are the important sounds in that word?
So the misconstrued. Yeah, the construed.
Hmm.
Yeah, the cons part.
Yeah, I think we have a little problem here where we're going to have to emphasize two sounds. Strewed is definitely the accented syllable, but miss is
Trude.
also a very important syllable here because it means it's really the focus. Like something was wrong. I understood wrong. So you have to also emphasize miss. So there are two.
Miss
Yeah,
miss.
there are two very important syllables. So how does that sound then? If you're emphasizing both of those syllables, how does it sound?
So I so I misconstrued.
Yes.
Misconstrued.
Now and also you have that D at the end of construed. What happens with ooh because of the D?
Yes, so we have to make it stronger, yeah, the
Mhm.
louder,
Extra,
and
probably longer, extra long, extra long. So I misconstrued. Hear how long that ooh is? It's very long. It's super long.
I misconstrued
Mm-hmm.
wood.
Ooh, it's very long. I misconstrued. How would you say I plus misconstrued plus his? How would that sound together?
So I misconstrued him. Construed him.
Con-
Sorry, I misconstrued construed it.
yeah, that's
Construed
right.
it.
But don't emphasize is. It's very small. I misconstrued is.
I misconstrued it.
Okay, like that. That's how it sounds. And then we have another important word here, which is tone. Tone, and that's a very long syllable, a very long vowel sound again. I misconstrued is tone.
I misconstrued his tone.
Hmm. That sounds very good. I misconstrued his tone.
Okay. I misconstrued his tone.
Can you change the sentence? Use their reaction.
So I misconstrued his reaction.
Their reaction.
Sorry, as well their reaction.
Hmm.
I misconstrued their reaction.
And what is the
Their
important?
reaction.
What is the important sound in reaction?
Reaction. Reaction. Reaction.
Which
Action.
action?
React.
Ack.
Act.
Ack.
Act. Yes.
I
Action.
misconstrued their reaction.
I misconstrued their reaction. Reaction.
Let's change it again. Let's say the message.
Okay. I misconstrued the message.
Hmm. That's right. And remember, you have to emphasize the important sound in message. Message.
Message. Message. Message.
Message. I misconstrued the message.
I misconstrued the message.
The message.
Message.
The message.
The message. The message.
Can you make a how question?
So, how did I misconstruct the
Not construct.
message?
Don't say construct. It's construed.
Okay. So, sorry. Uh, so how did I misconstrue the message?
That's right. How did I misconstrue the message? And
Yes, yes.
how does it sound when you say how did plus I?
So how did I? How
How did
did I?
how did I? How did I?
How did I?
How
How
did
did
I?
I?
How did I misconstrue the message?
How did I? How did I construe the message?
hmm How did I misconstrue the message?
How did I misconstrue the message?
Okay. And a lot of times, if you're answering a how question and you want to explain the process of how, then you use I plus by plus an ing verb. So, what if we said, uh, "Be distracted"? How would you answer that question? How, using the phrase "be distracted"? Be distracted.
Okay, so I how did I misconstrue the masses? I misconstrue the masses by being distracted.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But just pay attention to the important sound in distracted. It's a long A sound there. By being distracted.
by being distracted.
I'm
Distracted.
distracted. I misconstrued the message by being distracted.
I misconstrue the masses being by being distracted.
Okay, I think that we should. Let's focus on a little pronunciation issue here. So we've got two words here. Here's word number one, which is message, and word number two, masses. Masses means uh, a large group of people. That's what a
Yes.
mass is. Well, a mass could be a large group of anything, but a lot of times it's a group of people. Pachu, do you see the two words that are up on the screen?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, can you
Yes.
say number one?
Is a mass
I didn't hear you very well because of a connection problem. Can you say it again?
is a mass.
For some reason, every time you say that word, there's a connection problem. Try again.
Okay, sir. So this is a message.
Okay, and how do you say number two?
Is a message.
And number one?
Message
Say number one again.
is a message.
And number two?
Message.
Okay, so to you, they sound very similar. Is that fair?
Actually, when I pronounce, yeah, actually, when I pronounce it, I feel different, but maybe same, but I feel different because I say the message and another is a masses. So that there is A and R differences, I think,
There are
but maybe the
differences. There
same.
are a couple of really big differences between these two words. The first big difference is the first vowel sound. One vowel sound is very simple, and one vowel sound is a little bit dirty. It has a lot of different sounds in it. Okay, and the first, so in number one we have a very simple sound, which is meh, meh, meh. And
Meh,
this is a
meh.
sound that you eat. This is not a sound that you push out of your mouth. So you don't push the air out. You try to eat the air and it goes down your throat. Meh, meh. You feel it in your throat mostly. Try again. Meh.
Okay, so okay, sir. Okay, sir. I try. So message, message,
Yes. So
message.
now I can hear it's a little bit more down in your throat. Probably you want to go deeper, but at least it's a little bit more clear that it's a very pure sound, doesn't have anything else in it. It's just eh. and you feel that in your throat. It goes down, it doesn't go out. Meh. Say meh.
Yeah. Meh.
Okay.
Meh.
And is that a short is that short in duration or is that a long in duration sound? Message.
Is a short
Okay.
message.
So we notice a couple of things about that sound. One, it's down here in your throat. Two, it's not a mix of sounds, it's just one pure sound. It's just eh. And three, it's very short in duration. Right? Do you agree? Meh.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. As before, I did like pushing the air, but I have to eat the
You have to
sound,
eat it,
and it is pure
and it's
uh,
pure.
a and to eat
Hmm.
inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very different from number two because, first of all, number two is not pure, it's dirty. It's three sounds. E, ya. E, I, a. E, ya. Can you try that? E, I,
Yeah.
a. E, ya.
Air.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is very North American. So Australian or UK English could be very different. But for me, it's air, air.
Okay. Okay, sir. So air, air,
So it's three
air,
sounds.
air.
Is it long in duration or is it short in duration?
No, it's long. It's
Hmm.
air, air.
Yeah, it's very long. So number one is short, meh, but number two is long, meh.
Mare,
Hmm.
mare,
Say the first one, meh.
yeah. Meh,
Say the second one, meh,
mare,
meh.
mare.
All right, and masses. And this is a sound that you'll push out. So it starts down here, but it comes out. So you don't eat this, you push it out. Masses.
Okay, so message,
Hmm.
message,
Okay.
message.
So we can see three really big differences between these two vowel sounds. Now there's another difference, and that is the production of this G sound. So let's start with this. Let's say mesed, mesed. Say a D. Mesed.
Message, message,
Don't forget you have to eat the E. That's another E. It's the same sound as the first one. Mesed.
message,
Is
message,
it's eh eh. It's not eh eh. You're 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 putting the tension too far up in your mouth. It has to go down more. Mesed.
message,
Yeah,
message,
mesed, like that. Can you say that?
message,
Okay.
message.
Now we're just going to add another sound here, which is a CH. And then you will say it clearly. Message.
Message,
Yes,
message.
yes, you're missing that D sound earlier, which is a really important sound. When you have that G, a lot of times it's like a combination of DCH. Message.
Okay. So message, message,
Okay.
message,
And the important sound is the first sound. So we'll make that really big. Message.
message, message,
Sidge. Sidge.
message, message,
Okay. And if you compare that to number two, where there is no D sound, it's masses.
message, message,
Masses. That number two. Say number two. Masses.
message,
Massive.
message.
Okay, now it sounds like you're saying number one, but you should no D. There's no D in number two. That's the big difference. Masses, no D sound.
Message.
Masses.
Message.
So number one is message, and number two is masses.
So number one is a message, and another is the message.
Okay, but it sounds
So
like now you're adding a D to number two. There is no D in number two. It's just masses with no. Don't touch your tongue to your mouth like that.
okay, so in case of two, uh, I have to push uh, the sound, the air out, or
Out,
just
out,
inside.
out.
Okay, so
Masses. Push it out.
okay, so message, message.
Masses. And number one is down, but also you have a D sound. Message.
So message, message, message,
Message. Don't you
message,
keep the first E. Message.
message.
Okay. Let's move on to our next word, which is a phrasal verb, bandy about. But I'm sorry, I just have to take a 1 minute break. I'll be right back, okay? Just give me one
Okay,
second.
sir.
All right, sorry about that. Okay. I've got to turn off the music again. All right. Now, the next word that we have is a phrasal verb, bandy about. Probably you haven't seen that before, have you?
No, sir. I've
Okay.
not seen.
Let's see if I can find a picture to show you, just to illustrate, I think, in a clear way, what bandy about could mean. Oh, I don't know if they. Oh, this is a good example. Okay. Don't you think that a gun is a dangerous thing, Pachu?
Yes, yes.
So, what do you think of the way that this person is holding the gun? Do you think that he's taking it seriously, or do you think that maybe he's doing this in a bad way and maybe a dangerous way?
Yeah, in a dangerous way.
Okay, because a gun is a very serious thing, and to just hold it like this and drink your tea with your gun, maybe you're talking to people. Hey, how are you? That's a it's not a very good way to hold the gun because a gun is a very serious thing. Do you agree?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you would say this man is bandying about a gun. He's got something very dangerous or serious, and he's treating it like it's nothing. And maybe something bad will happen because of that. Does that make sense?
Okay, sir. Yes. Yes. Got it. Yeah.
So to bandy something about means to you've got something serious or something that could cause problems, and you're treating it in a very light way, like it's not dangerous.
Yeah. Yes. So, so how can we relate with the? Uh, can we only relate with gone, or yeah, the person maybe
Well,
a
well
character or person?
think here's a different sentence, and think about what bandy about means here. They bandied about rumors.
Yes.
What does that mean, do you think?
So they are not taking this serious. Yeah.
Hmm. And maybe it could even cause
Yes.
harm. Rumors can cause harm, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it, maybe we should just look at it though. I mean, I think this is a good example of how to understand bandy about looking at this picture. But bandy about can just mean casually doing something without taking it seriously. So
Yes.
a
Yeah.
lot of times it's used for dangerous things, but it could be used just for normal things, everyday things. Like uh, they had a meeting and they bandied about ideas. That's not dangerous, but what do you think that means? They bandied about ideas.
So yeah, they took lightly, or they did not
Mhm.
uh, become serious. Yeah, about doing that
Yeah, it was
or doing
just
idea.
a conversation, and they didn't really take the ideas seriously. Maybe they're brainstorming. Do you know that word, brainstorming?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So does that make sense? What the phrasal verb bandy about means?
Yes. Yeah, clear. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So here's the definition that we have: bandy about, to casually mention or circulate names, ideas, or rumors. So, but it's not very
Yes.
serious. Not a very serious thing. I think you can even use it
Yeah.
for walking. Like if I say he bandied about town, what do you think that means?
Yeah. Means that is not serious. Just not seriously. Just lightly.
Hmm. Maybe not going anywhere in particular, maybe having no purpose, maybe not caring too much where he goes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have this sentence, which is during the meeting, they bandied about suggestions. Can you read that?
Yes, sir. During the meeting, they bandied about suggestions.
What does that mean exactly? How do you interpret that?
So during the meeting time, they just uh, uh, they didn't become serious or
Mhm.
just took lightly the suggestions. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just not serious suggestions. They were just thinking about different suggestions and they weren't really taking them seriously. That's not bad. It's like brainstorming, you know. None of the suggestions are taken extremely seriously. They're just throwing suggestions and maybe discovering what could be important. Does that make sense?
Okay, okay, so I got it. So the like if there is any work and we do brainstorming, like idea collections from different people, and we after that we select which idea will. So before doing that, we have a number of ideas, and that is
Mhm.
called the bandit. Okay,
Yeah, everybody
because there is
contributes.
no.
None of them are serious. Maybe you'll find something good in it, but in the beginning, none of them are taken very seriously. How about this? How about that? What about this? It's just like the gun, just moving it around.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So it's really just having a not very serious conversation about something. Okay.
Yes.
How many phrases do we have in this sentence? During the meeting, they bandied about suggestions.
As a during meeting, bandit,
Mm.
and suggestions.
So those are the important words. During during the meeting. Okay, during. So let's take a look at the first phrase. We've got during and meeting. What is the important sound in during?
So, so is during is do
Dur. During. Okay.
during
How about in
do
meeting?
as a meeting is
Okay.
me e.
All right. So let's find the rhythm of that phrase. During the meeting. During the meeting. During the meeting.
D- during the meeting.
Mhm.
During the meeting.
During the meeting. Now, in the second phrase, what are the important words?
The second phrase we bandit,
Mm-hmm.
bandit, and
Okay.
suggestions. The two words. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I just want to show you something. Again, this is why the length of a vowel sound is extremely important. So we have two words, and the D and the T sound very similar. So we have a little bit of a problem because these two words could almost sound the same. Do you see the two words that I have put up on the screen?
Yes, yes, sir.
Do you know what is word number one?
As a bandit,
Okay. Bandit. Bandit.
bandit,
Okay.
bandit,
How do you say
bandit,
how do you say word number two?
bandit.
No, well the accent actually is on the same syllable. So these words could sound very similar except for just a few differences. So
Okay,
they
so
they,
the
they both start with a
bandit
bandied.
is a bandit, bandit. Yeah,
What do you think about the vowel sound in number two at the end of the word Pachu? Is that long in duration or short in duration?
is a long duration
Uh-huh. There's a special reason for that. What is the special reason?
because of the two vowel sound and also the D.
The D.
So
The D.
yeah,
Now they are different
D
sounds.
sound.
Number one is a sound that you eat. Bandit. Bandit.
Yes, bandit. Yes.
Okay. So number one you
It,
eat. But number two, this is not a sound that you eat. This is a sound that you push out. Bandied.
bandit, bandit,
Okay, but
bandit.
remember, so are you saying number one or number two right now?
So so bandit. I'm saying second. The bandit.
Okay, but you're putting the accent on the wrong syllable. You're putting it on the final syllable. but it's not bandit and bandied. It's bandit and bandied.
Okay. Okay. So yes. So the bandit.
Which one are you saying? Are you saying number one or number two?
No, is a second. Is a bandit.
Okay.
Bandit.
All right. But so that vowel sound, again, it must be very long because of the D. Bandied.
Okay. So the bandit.
Mhm.
Bandit.
Yeah, bandied. Very long.
Bandit.
Yeah. And number one is very short. Bandit.
So bandit.
Say number
Bandit.
say number two.
Bandit. Is a bandit.
Yeah, but make the E longer. Bandied.
The bandit.
Yeah, bandied. Bandied.
Bandit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Deed.
So number one is
Deed.
bandit, bandit, and number two is bandied.
Number one is a bandit. Bandit
Mm-hmm.
is a bandit. Bandit.
Yeah, bandied. Don't try to not be so loud when you say the final deed because it's not accented. It's just long because of that D sound and because of the nature of that vowel sound anyway. So it's just extra long, but not loud. Actually, it should become softer. Bandied.
Bandit. Bandit.
Longer, longer. Bandied.
Bandit.
Okay.
Bandit.
All right. So again, let's go back to the phrase. They bandied about suggestions. What are the important words in that phrase?
Um, so the bandit. Bandit.
Bandied.
And
Bandied. Don't make it long. You've got to make it long. Bandied.
bandit.
Mm-hmm.
Bandit.
All right.
And suggest.
And suggestions.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yes.
is bandied about? Oh, well, let's just keep it simple because we'll have to get into a big discussion about bandy, which I don't really know what that means. I guess we should. I'm going to check. I might as well check. Uh, let's see. Bandy originally meant to toss or hit something back and forth, like a ball. Over time, it took a figurative meaning, especially words. So the original word of bandy is throwing a ball back and forth.
Like pendulum.
Maybe, well, let's see. Tosser. Not really, because the idea is tossing, which is throwing, or hitting. Like, so hitting back and forth, or throwing a ball back and forth. And a pendulum, I think, because it just
Okay.
swings on its own. Maybe, I mean, it's very close, but I guess they're probably a little bit different. But
Okay, sir.
so what do you think? I mean, we don't really use that word bandy for anything besides these phrasal verbs. So it isn't something that you would use ever in regular conversation. But do you think that's literal? They bandied about suggestions. Or do you think that's an abstract phrasal verb?
Actually, uh, this is abstract, I think.
Well, what does bandy mean?
So, bandy means not taking seriously or
Oh,
just.
the phrasal verb bandy about means not taking something seriously, being casual about your words or your gun or something like that. But what does the word bandy mean? The bandy means throw. I throw to you, you throw to me, right?
Yes.
That's really the meaning of bandy. So it seems to me that bandy about is a literal phrasal verb, even though we don't use bandy outside of phrasal verbs. So I
Yeah.
think that
Yes.
I think we should emphasize about a little bit. Maybe not the most important, but it seems like both of these are kind of emphasized. Bandied about. Bandied about.
Bandit bout. Bandit
Yeah, don't forget the duh in the middle. Bandied da bout.
bandit bout.
Hmm.
Bandit bout.
Bandied about. During the meeting, they bandied
Band
about.
During the meeting they bandied about.
Okay, and then we have the word suggestions. Which syllable has all the focus in that word?
Gestion.
Jess.
Yes.
Jess.
Yes.
Jess.
Yes.
All right, so we'll also put focus on that syllable, Jess.
Yeah, it's a jazz.
Okay, so now we have a nice big, small rhythm. During the meeting, they bandied about suggestions.
During the meeting, they bandied about suggestion.
Okay, can you change the sentence and use the word questions?
During the meeting, they bandied about questions.
How about budget cuts?
During the meeting, they bandied budget. What do we call?
Budget cuts. But I'll write that. I'm going to write it for you. Budget cuts. Can you say it again because there was a little
Okay,
connection problem and I didn't hear you?
okay, sir. During the meeting, they bandied about budget cut.
What are budget cuts, Pachu?
Yeah, means uh, something they did not give the full budget for.
Mm-hmm.
So they 50% they maybe allow and 50% they did not allow.
Yeah, maybe they're reducing the budget.
Yeah, yeah, reduce the amount of budget.
Can you say that phrase again? During the meeting, they bandied about budget cuts.
During the meeting, they bandied about budget budget cuts.
Budget cuts.
Budget cuts.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's try one more. Future plans.
During the meeting, they bandied about future plans.
Okay. Can you make a why question with that sentence?
Why did they banded? Why did they bandy
Question
about?
form. Don't forget to use the question form
Okay, sir. Why did they bandy about budget cuts
during the meeting.
during the meeting?
Ask again.
Yes. Why did they bandy about budget cuts during the meeting?
That's good. And how does it sound when you say why plus did plus they?
Why did they? Why
Well,
did they?
see, but really we don't emphasize they. It sounds like this. Why did they?
Why did they? Why did they?
Why did they bandy about budget cuts during the meeting?
Why did they bandy about budget cuts during the meeting?
Oh, let's say because the company was in serious trouble.
Okay. The company was in serious trouble.
So they bandied about budget cuts during the meeting because the company was in serious trouble. Can you try to say everything together, keeping the rhythm?
Okay, sir. They bandied about curse during the meeting because the company was in serious
Hmm. Trouble.
condition,
Yeah.
a serious trouble.
And remember, when you say that word serious, it's not serious, it's serious. You have to really extend that vowel sound if you want it to sound good. Serious.
Serious,
Like that.
serious.
The company was in serious trouble.
The the company was in serious trouble.
All right. Okay, let's move on to the next vocabulary word that we have today, and that is misgivings. Have you ever seen that word before? Misgivings.
Misgivings.
Hmm.
And no, sir.
Okay, it's not uncommon. It's something that you could use. It's a very probably a very useful word for you. To have misgivings, usually you'll use the verb to have with misgivings. To have misgivings means to have hesitation or doubt or fear about something. Let's see. I
Yes.
have misgivings about lending my friend some money. What does that mean? I have misgivings about lending my friend some money.
Yes, because it did not return.
Yeah, or maybe it would cause problems with the
I
friend.
have okay. So
What?
yes, yes, because people become unfriendly after taking the money.
Yeah. So you have a hesitation. You want to help your friend, but then you think, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is maybe was going to cause problems."
Yes, sir. Yes.
So that's a misgiving. It's a doubt
Okay.
or a hesitation because you you're afraid that it's going to produce problems, or you're afraid of the consequences. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Yes, yes. I got it here. Yes, yes. Yes.
Sometimes at your work, do they ever say, "Pachu, we need to do this or we need to do that," and you say, I don't know, maybe that's a problem. Does that ever happen at your work?
Yes.
Can
Yeah.
you think can you think of an example where somebody said, "Oh, Pachu, we need to do this," and you thought, I don't know. Maybe that could create a problem. Can you think of an example?
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes people ask something very secret thing,
Hmm.
and I know that it might cause, cause problems. So yes, there are few things
Okay, but
honestly.
they're secret, so you can't mention them. so
Yes. Yes.
so like 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 Pachu, let's try this new AI system to automate the process. How would you feel about that if they said, let's try this new AI system to automate the process? Would you be happy about that,
Yes.
or would you hesitate and say, I don't know, that maybe it's not a good idea?
Yes. Yes.
Can
There.
we go ahead?
Yeah. That maybe the. Yes. Sometimes the we do not want to change the
Hmm.
condition of the process because it is happening from a long time,
Hmm.
but someone says, hey, you can change your process by keeping a certain tools or new things like today's AI is everywhere. So if anyone says that the so I misgive. I miss.
You
I do not
have, you
allow
have, you
because
have, you have misgivings. You have misgivings.
yeah, yes,
Okay.
I have misgivings.
Yeah, so you say, "Oh, I don't know. I have misgivings about using AI because the system already works fine."
Yes,
What does
yeah.
that mean? I have misgivings about using AI because the way we do it already is pretty good.
Yes, so I have doubt
Yeah,
this works well or not. Yeah,
yeah,
after installing the AI or using the AI. Um,
yeah. So you can use this. This would be very useful in that situation. It means you're willing to listen, but you're not very confident about it. You have some doubts about it. So it doesn't
yes,
mean
yes, sir.
no. It just means mm, I need more information or something like that. Is that pretty clear?
Yes, yeah, yes, sir, yeah.
All right. So if we have a sentence like I had serious misgivings. What does that mean?
Yes, so I do not know the
Mhm,
consequence when I give money to my friends.
mhm.
Um,
Or
so I
whatever.
have
Using AI, giving
misgivings.
money, whatever. You have hesitation,
Yeah,
doubt. You're not
hesitation.
sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Can you read that sentence? I had serious misgivings.
I had seriousness givings.
Okay. And what are the important words in that sentence?
So serious and
Okay.
misgivings.
But remember, it's serious. It's a very long sound here. Serious.
Serious,
Yes.
serious.
Hmm. If you say serious, it's a does it may be difficult for people to understand that word.
Yes, yes, sir.
Serious. Serious.
Serious,
Okay.
serious.
What is the important syllable in that word? Serious.
So the syllabus is the C, Siri,
Okay.
Siri, us. The
Just
two serious.
really it's just sear. Sear. Listen.
Siri.
Serious. The other two syllables aren't heard very clearly. It's just the first syllable that's very important. Serious.
Okay. So serious,
Okay.
serious.
Now we do sort of have a problem in the word misgivings because I think we have to emphasize two syllables. Which two syllables do you think we should emphasize?
So it's a misgivings. The givings. Give
Okay.
is one part,
Give.
and yeah,
Okay.
and misgiving.
Okay. Well,
Can
this
you can
go,
you? Yeah.
go ahead. What?
Okay. So no, just I want to say, can we stress the miss part also because yeah, I think
Yeah, I think we have
um,
to because it's really important that when you the miss is a very important sound in that word because it means the
yes,
opposite. It means I didn't understand, right? You have to emphasize that to be clear. Do you agree?
yes, sir, yes,
So
yes.
normally the word giving, you emphasize just the give part, right? Giving.
Yeah, the giving, misgiving,
Okay,
giving. Yeah,
but now we have a problem because we're putting two strong syllables next to each other, and English does not like that. It likes to have big and then small and then
yes,
big again and then small. But here you've got big fighting each other. So what do you have to do to
yes.
sound clear?
So to take pause and the miss, slightly pause and then givings.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the best way I think to pronounce.
miss.
You could say misgivings, but I think it sounds better if you emphasize both. So you have to pause because you can't push two sounds that are big together like that. So misgivings, you have to pause for a second.
Misgivings.
I had
Misgivings.
I had serious misgivings.
I had serious misgivings.
Let's change the phrase a little bit. Let's say slight. Slight. What does that mean, slight?
Yeah, it's a tiny.
It's what?
Slight is tiny, tiny.
Tiny, small. Yeah, a little bit. Something small. Now, this is kind of the opposite of serious misgivings. Slight misgivings. Can you change the sentence? Are you there, Pachu, or have you disappeared? I think right now there's a little bit of a connection problem for Pachu. So I'll change it for him while we're waiting. I had slight misgivings, little hesitations, little doubts. I'm sure Pachu will start talking when when he's back. We'll hear him. Okay, and let's change it again. Let's change it from slight misgivings to growing misgivings. Growing misgivings. So at first, maybe you had a little doubt, but those doubts are now becoming bigger. So we'll
Hello,
say,
sir.
oh, are you back, Pachu?
Yes, my computer suddenly shut down, so I am on mobile and I will join my computer. So can you, sir, can we start? I just yeah
Are
repeat.
you, so you're back right now, or you have to do something?
No, I am back.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I am.
All right. Can you change it to from serious misgivings to slight misgivings?
So, sir, can you just? I am only Discord sir, on mobile.
Okay.
So
Okay. So I'm going to put it in Discord. Okay.
yes, sir. Yes.
All right. So we started with I had serious misgivings. Can you change it using slight? Uh-oh.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Can you change it using slight?
So just 1 minute, sir.
You know,
So
I was
I
maybe.
just repeat, sir. For few minute, I just repeat because I'm
Mhm.
opening my laptop.
Okay.
So just to repeat and sir, just you say and I repeat because I cannot see the
Okay,
screen
it's okay.
on my
So
mobile
we're
phone.
we're almost about to finish. I think we're going to finish after this. So we just have a few more minutes left anyway. Don't go through a lot of trouble because I was about to wrap this up. So just repeat. I had slight misgivings. I had slight misgivings.
Okay, sir. I have slight misgivings.
Okay, misgivings, right. Let's change it from slight to growing.
Okay. So I had um,
Growing.
uh,
Growing.
I had growing misgivings.
Okay, now is it growing or growing?
Growing.
That's important because it sounds like you're saying a completely different word. So it must
Yeah.
be growing.
It's growing.
I had growing misgivings.
I had growing misgivings.
That means it started small, a few doubts, and now we have a lot of doubts, more doubts. I had growing misgivings.
I had growing misgivings.
Let's change it one more time using initial. Initial.
So I had initial misgivings.
What does that mean? Initial.
Initial means at the beginning.
Yes, at the beginning. At the beginning. At the beginning.
Yes.
That's right. So that's kind of the opposite of growing misgivings, because with growing misgivings, you start small and your misgivings, your doubts are growing. But initial misgivings means you started with some doubts and now they're disappearing. Initial misgivings. Can you say the whole sentence? I had initial misgivings.
I had initial misgivings.
Okay. How would you make a why question with I had initial misgivings?
So why did why did I have initial misgivings?
Okay. Repeat that again.
Why did I have initial misgivings?
How does y plus did plus I? How does that sound?
Why why did I
Why
why
did
did I
why did I? Why did I?
why did I
Uh-huh. Why did I have initial misgivings?
why did I have initial misgivings?
Okay, and then let's say that the answer is because I didn't have enough information.
So I have initial misgivings because I have no information or
Uh, uh,
little information.
limited. Let's say limited information.
I have, Elsa.
Yes, but it's in the past. It sounds like you're saying the present. Are you saying the present or the past?
Is a present
Okay. But the original sentence is I had. So let's keep it in the past.
okay, sir. I so I had initial misgivings
I had limited information.
because I had limited information.
Okay. Try to say everything together. I had initial misgivings because I had limited information.
I had initial misgivings because I had little information.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to stop here for today. I just want to check my schedule. Let's see. No Sherlock Holmes tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
But on Wednesday, it looks okay. So I'm going to make sure that I clear the schedule. So the next one will be on Wednesday. Okay. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. And I hope to see you again on Wednesday when we continue our story. Thank you, Pachu, for participating
Okay.
today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Bye bye. Have a good day.
Bye bye, son. Bye bye, sir.